Kamji stood in front of the mirror in her room, staring at herself. Her hands were trembling and her heart was beating fast. She was thinking about what she had done, but it was too late to turn back now. Once upon a time, there lived a lady called Kamji. Kamji and her fiancé Fisayo were very fond of each other. They had agreed to wait until their wedding night before they shared their bodies. Fisayo agreed and they were both happy with their decision. They planned their future together and looked forward to being married. But one day, Kamji met Chibike, a rich and handsome man. He drove a luxury black car, wore expensive clothes, and always smelled good. Kamji couldn't stop thinking about him. He made her laugh and he knew how to make her feel special. She started talking to him secretly, and soon Kamji began to complain about everything Fisayo did. Kamji and Chibike started texting each other all the time. Kamji would sneak into the bathroom just to reply his messages. She knew she was doing something wrong, but she believed Chibike made her feel so happy. As days went by, Kamji started treating Fisayo badly. When he called her, she would sound grumpy. When he wanted to spend time with her, she would make flimsy excuses. One day, Fisayo noticed something strange. Kamji was always on her phone, smiling at messages she didn't want him to see. When he asked her who she was texting, she snapped at him. "Can you please mind your business? Can't I have some privacy?" Fisayo felt hurt, but he didn't want to make her angry, so he let it go. But things got worse. Kamji started meeting Chibike in secret. They would go to fancy restaurants and had fun together. One afternoon, Fisayo was at the shopping mall when he saw something that made his stomach turn. Kamji was there holding hands with a man he didn't know. They were laughing and seemed very close. Fisayo watched them from a distance, feeling confused and hurt. Later that evening, he asked Kamji about it. "I saw you at the mall today. Who was that man you were with?" Kamji hesitated for a moment and quickly said, "Oh, that was my cousin Chibike. He just came into town, so I was showing him around." Fisayo didn't know what to say. He wanted to believe her, but something didn't feel right. A few days later, Kamji told Fisayo that she was going to visit her parents in Ijebode for 2 weeks. Fisayo nodded and wished her a safe journey. But when he called her during those 2 weeks, she barely answered his calls. When she did, she was always in a hurry to hang up. Fisayo started to worry. Something wasn't adding up. He decided to call Kamji's younger sister Ijeoma to check if Kamji was really at home. "Hello, Ijeoma," Fisayo said, trying to sound casual. "How is Kamji? Her line isn't going through. Could you please pass the phone to her?" Ijeoma was surprised. "Kamji? She hasn't come home. We've been waiting for her, but she said she was too busy with work." Fisayo was devastated by the revelation that Kamji had lied to him. But where was she, and why did she deceive him? When Kamji returned, Fisayo tried to talk to her. "Why did you lie to me, Kamji? Where did you really go?" Kamji's eyes flared in anger. "Why are you monitoring me, Fisayo? Don't you trust me? You are becoming too insecure and I don't like it. Fisayo felt sad and didn't know what to do. He didn't want to lose Kamji, so he apologized. I am sorry, Kamji. Please forgive me. Kamji looked at him for a moment, then nodded. But Fisayo couldn't shake feeling that something was very wrong. He decided to keep a close eye on Kamji, even if it meant pretending like everything was okay. But deep inside, Fisayo knew the truth was about to be unraveled. Fisayo tried to act like everything was fine, but he couldn't stop thinking about what Ijoma had told him. He decided to watch Kamji closely, even though it hurt him to doubt her. One evening, Kamji told Fisayo she was going to visit a friend. Fisayo nodded and pretended to believe her. But as soon as she left, Fisayo followed her quietly. He didn't want her to see him, so he stayed far behind. Kamji got into a taxi and went straight to a big house in another part of the city. Fisayo stood across the street, watching. After a few minutes, Chibike came out of the house and hugged Kamji. They were smiling and laughing together. Then they went inside. Fisayo felt his heart break. He knew now that Kamji was lying to him. She was with Chibike, not a friend. He felt like crying, but he didn't want anyone to see him, so he turned around and went home. The next day, Fisayo pretended everything was okay. He didn't want Kamji to know he had seen her with Chibike, but he was sad and didn't know what to do. Later that week, Kamji told Fisayo that she would travel home for the weekend. I'll be gone for a few days, she said. Please don't worry about me. Fisayo nodded, but he didn't believe her anymore. When she left, he waited a few hours and then called her phone. As expected, she didn't pick the call. Later in the evening, he decided to call Ijoma again. Hello, Ijoma, Fisayo said. Could you please pass the phone to Kamji? I have an urgent message for her. Ijoma looked surprised. No, brother, Kamji isn't home yet. Is everything okay? Fisayo was devastated. No, nothing is wrong. I just wanted to pass an urgent message to her. After the call, Fisayo sat down and thought hard. She wasn't at work or with her family. She was probably with Chibike. When Kamji returned, Fisayo decided to talk to her again. Kamji, why didn't you answer your phone when I called? Kamji's face changed. Why are you always asking me these questions? Don't you trust me? Fisayo tried to stay calm. I do trust you, but I am worried. You keep saying you are going to work or visiting your family, but it doesn't appear to be true. Kamji suddenly got very angry. Why are you spying on me, Fisayo? You are getting too insecure for my taste. I can't breathe anymore with you always watching me. Fisayo felt tears in his eyes. I am not trying to upset you, Kamji. I just wanted to know the truth. Kamji sighed and looked away. If you can't trust me, then maybe we shouldn't be together. Fisayo's heart pounded. He didn't want to lose her, even though she was hurting him. I am sorry, Kamji. Please don't say that. I love you. I just want us to be happy. Kamji didn't say anything. She just nodded and walked away, leaving Fisayo alone with his thoughts. But deep down, he knew that things were not right. He decided from now on, I would find out the truth, no matter how much it hurt. But what Fisayo didn't know was that the truth would be more painful than he could ever imagine. Kamji felt sick one morning. She thought it was just a little cold, but the feeling persisted. Days passed and she started to worry. She missed her period, and that's when it hit her that she might be pregnant. Scared and unsure, Kamji decided to take a test. She bought it secretly and hurried back to her room. When the test showed 2 lines, her heart pounded. She was pregnant, and she knew the baby belonged to Chibike, the rich guy. Kamji didn't know what to do. She was afraid to tell Fisayo, so she decided to tell Chibike first. She thought he would be happy since he always talked about how much he liked her. One evening, Kamji went to Chibike's house. She was nervous, but she knew she had to tell him the truth. Chibike, I have something very important to tell you, she said with a trembling voice. What is it? Chibike asked, as his eyes were glued to his phone. I am pregnant, Kamji whispered. Chibike finally looked up, his face turning serious. Pregnant? He asked. And you think it's mine? Kamji nodded. Yes, Chibike, it's yours. But instead of being happy, Chibike frowned. He leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. Kamji, don't play games with me. I know you have a fiancé. How do I know the baby isn't his? Kamji's eyes widened in shock. What? No, Chibike. I haven't been with Fisayo. The baby is yours. But Chibike didn't believe her. He stood up and pointed to the door. Get out of my house, Kamji. I don't want to see you again around this house. Read my lips. I do not want to see you ever again. Kamji's heart was shattered. Tears filled her eyes as she begged him to listen. Please, Chibike, I am telling the truth. Please don't do this. But Chibike's face was cold. I don't care, Kamji. Leave now. With tears streaming down her face, Kamji had no choice but to leave. She felt lost and alone. As she walked down the street, she wondered what she would do next. She had made a big mistake, and now she was paying the price. Kamji felt like her entire world was crumbling after Chibike kicked her out. She didn't know where else to go, so she went back to Fisayo's house. She was scared, but she knew she had to come up with a plan. When she saw Fisayo, he welcomed her warmly, but she could see he was still a bit distant, and Kamji knew why. She was the one who insisted they wait until marriage before they share their bodies. That night, Kamji decided to try something new. She dressed up nicely and made Fisayo's favorite meal. She smiled at him in an alluring way, trying to be the girl he fell in love with. Fisayo, she said, sitting close to him on the couch. I've been thinking, maybe we don't have to wait until wedding night. We are going to be married soon anyway. Fisayo was surprised. He looked at her, wondering what had changed. But Kamji, you were the one who wanted us to wait. Why the sudden change? Kamji quickly smiled, trying to hide her nervousness. I just feel like I am ready now, and I want to believe that you feel the same. But Fisayo felt something was off. He had started suspecting her since she lied about visiting her parents. Now, her sudden change of mind made him even more curious, so he decided to hold back and not give in. Kamji tried everything to get close to Fisayo. She would sit next to him, touch his head, and whisper sweet things in his ear. But Fisayo always found a way to gently push her away. He was polite, but he never let things go too far. One evening, Fisayo came home from work early and heard Kamji talking on the phone in the bedroom. He paused at the door when he heard his name. I don't know what else to do, Kemi, Kamji said in a frustrated tone. I've tried everything to get Fisayo to touch me, but nothing is working. Fisayo's heart pounded as he listened. Her friend's voice came through the phone. Maybe you should get him drunk. That might make him lose control. Fisayo couldn't believe what he was hearing. He stood quietly outside the door, feeling hurt and betrayed. But he knew he had to be smart. He didn't want Kamji to know that he had heard everything. So he took a deep breath, put on a calm face, and walked into the room like nothing had happened. Hey Kamji, he said, smiling. Who are you talking to? Kamji quickly ended the call and smiled back at him. Oh, just a friend, she said, trying to act normal. But deep down, she was starting to worry that her plan might not work as easily as she thought. That evening, Kamji decided to try something new. She brought 2 glasses of apple juice and handed one to Fisayo. But before she did, she had added a substance to the glass she gave him. She smiled warmly as he took the glass from her. Fisayo accepted the glass but didn't drink it. Instead, he placed it on the table beside him. Kamji noticed but tried not to show her disappointment. Babe, Kamji began, sitting close to him. We need to talk about why you've been distant lately. Fisayo looked at her, pretending to be curious. What do you mean, Kamji? Kamji took a deep breath and started talking. I know things haven't been easy between us. Maybe we need to work on our communication. We need to talk more about how we feel. And maybe that would help us grow stronger together. Fisayo nodded, listening carefully. You are right, Kamji. Communication is important. Kamji smiled, feeling like her plan was finally working. Maybe we should spend more time together, just the 2 of us, and talk about our future. What do you think? But before Fisayo could answer, Kamji's phone rang. She looked at the screen and it was her friend Kemi. I'll be right back, babe, she said, getting up quickly and going to the bedroom to take the call. Hello, Kamji whispered into the phone. How did it go? Kemi asked eagerly. Kamji sighed. I added the substance to his juice, but he hasn't drank it yet. I don't know what's taking him so long. Don't worry, Kemi replied. He will drink it soon, and everything will go as planned. Kamji nodded, feeling a bit anxious but hopeful. She ended the call and stayed back in the room to see if Fisayo would feel bored and then drink the juice. Back in the living room, Fisayo quietly took the glass of juice and headed to the visitor's toilet. He carefully poured most of the juice into the toilet, leaving just a little in the glass to make it look like he drank some. Fisayo knew exactly what he had to do next. He staggered into the room, acting like he was dizzy. He set the glass on the table and fell onto the bed, closing his eyes. Kamji watched him closely when she saw him lying on the bed. She smiled to herself and whispered, Yes, finally. She moved toward the bed, thinking her plan had worked. But as soon as she touched him, Fisayo suddenly grabbed her hand and sat up. So, this is your plan, Kamji, Fisayo said. You want to pin another man's child on me? Gamji froze. Her heart pounded. Fisayo, I can explain, she stammered. But it was too late. The truth was already out. Fisayo stood up, his face filled with anger and disappointment. I trusted you, Kamji, but you betrayed me. I heard everything you said on the phone. You tried to trick me, and now you want me to raise another man's child? Tears filled Kamji's eyes as she realized there was nothing she could do to fix this. Please, Fisayo, I am sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. But Fisayo shook his head. It's too late, Kamji. Pack your things and leave. I can't marry someone who lies and cheats. Kamji knew she had lost everything. With tears streaming down her face, she packed her things and left Fisayo's house, knowing that she had only herself to blame for losing the man that truly loved her. Alright, my lovely people, the moral of this story is that deceit and dishonesty can ruin relationships and lead to painful consequences. Trust is essential in any relationship, and once it's broken, it's hard to repair. Trying to cover mistakes with lies only makes things worse. And in the end, the truth will always come to light. Remember, every action has a consequence, and making selfish and harmful decisions can hurt not just yourself, but also those who care about you. It's important to think carefully about the impact of your action on others. With this, I say thank you for watching up to this point. Please support my channel by subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and turn on your notification bell. This way, you'll be notified when I post another interesting story. Thank you once again, and see you in my next video.